Welcome to the Edification system of the GKSA. It originated from a need to edify elders, but evolved to be suitable for a much wider audience. The aim of this message is to share general background on the method of edification that was adopted as well as the format of the material. Another similar message is available that focuses more specifically on the so-called Socratic method, which is recommended for the group discussion. The method used for edification mainly resulted from four factors. Firstly, the realization that the challenge in edification is not the availability of material content, but making it accessible in a manner that facilitates real learning. Secondly, the aim of the edification is not only to transfer information, but to facilitate real understanding and application within the given context of each group or church. Thirdly, that active participation in the process is essential to let the learning touch ground in the real life of every individual participating. The fourth factor is that the same material should enable learning in churches with very diverse cultures and contexts. One example of differences in culture and context is that elders in some churches are required to develop and preach their own sermons, while it is not the case in others. The same material, which should equip some elders towards development of sermons, should also equip others towards supervision of sermons and advice to ministers of the word. The method of learning therefore includes a balance between self-study and learning from subject experts. And finally, a shared group learning and application in the specific culture and the context of the group. The structure of the material is aimed to enable this method of learning. Let's talk about the format of the material, but first two general observations. Firstly, that the learning content is divided into smaller portions to make it easier to absorb and to reduce the time required for each portion. Secondly, it is the intention to minimize learned words and phrases. Example rather refer to interpretation and not to hermeneutics. With the exception that if there is a specific reason to confirm the word or the phrase in the language of the churches, for example the 5 solas, as heritage from the Reformation. In such cases, the phrase or the word would be clearly explained before it is used. Let us consider now the format of the material of each module. Each module jumpstarts with a general introduction of where the module fits into the bigger picture, and then followed by an overview of the content or the objective of that specific module. This is then followed by the most important source material of the module's content. Everything should of course be grounded in the Word of God, and therefore the applicable Bible texts or maybe portions from the confessions are quoted here. No explanation or application is given yet, but some questions is provided to lead the individual to contemplate the meaning and the significance. This individual independent learning is important, especially since elders should be able to investigate and teach others from the Bible. The jumpstart is intended as a self-study, but it could of course be presented in a group format. In the jump-in portion, a subject expert on the content of the module is presenting a teaching which is directly or indirectly based on the references provided in the jumpstart. It is presented in a short video format, but with complete transcript to facilitate learning to those that does not have access to video technology. The teaching focuses on the principles valid for all churches and does not include applications and practices in any specific cultural context. That comes in the next section. The mastering of the teaching in this jump-in section is also intended for personal study. But like the jumpstart, it could also be presented in groups. The objective of this essential jump out section is that the principles from the jump start section and the teaching from the jump in section would now jump out in the specific culture and the context of the group. It is important that the material in the jump start and jump in sections would be mastered by every participant before the group discussion. An explanation of the Socratic method, which is recommended for this group discussion, is available in a separate message similar to this one. Please refer to it for your understanding and your preparation to facilitate this group discussion. Then comes a section on more reading. It is expected that some individuals would be interested and called to gain more and deeper mastering of the subject matter in the module. Relevant references is provided in this section of the module to enable such continued self-study. The last section in the module is a sermon outline. This is an outline of one of the Bible texts referenced in the jumpstart of the module. It should be considered as a guide to elders that are called upon to develop their own sermons. It is the intention over time to establish a library of modules available as free downloads to all the churches. An individual, a group, or the church could select those modules aimed at their specific needs. You could consider selecting a series of modules to repeat them every few years, or to continue in wider learning by expanding to other areas as well. Finally, a request to use the material wisely and with dedication, and to give feedback to Expondo, who oversees this service to the churches. Oh yes, and remember to review the message on the Socratic method, which is recommended for the group discussion.